Evan and I have a massive sweat. We did an FFPC draft on August 15th with Leone. You can find that on YouTube if you go to our YouTube and just search for FFPC main event draft. We're in 8th now in the sprint with 2 weeks left. First place is $1 million. So if we never do this podcast again, you will know that we have won the $1 million and we have retired to Thailand. So very exciting. Story one is a sad one, Evan. It comes from the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, face of the NFL, 3-time Super Bowl champion. They're losing late to the Chargers. Playoff hopes are slipping away. Scrambles toward the sideline, makes a throw, gets hit kind of awkwardly from behind. And on that play, Mahomes tears both his ACL and his LCL. Just brutal for the Chiefs, brutal for the league. They'll finish out the season with Gardner Minshew, although they're already eliminated from the playoffs. Evan, your reaction to the Patrick Mahomes injury?
Well, he already had surgery to repair his ACL and LCL. That, to me, suggests that he's going to try to, maybe make it back early next season. I don't think he'll be ready for week 1. Maybe he'll start the season on PUP or something like that. But, he's going to try to get back as soon as he possibly can. In the short term, as you mentioned, they go to Gardner Minshew. Like, their team total is around 20 against the Titans this week. So, if it had been Patrick Mahomes in there, 27.5 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than that. The offensive line is going to be a really big problem for Gardner Minshew because it has been a train wreck lately. In week 15, the Chargers generated 21 pressures as a team against the Chiefs. That's the most allowed by Kansas City in any game since week 16 of the 2023 season, according to Next Gen Stats. So that's another big roadblock. Our expectations are vastly lowered, obviously, with Gardner Minshew under center.
Yeah, and circling back to the Mahomes injury just for a second. So if it was just a clean ACL tear, we see guys come back from this all the time now within 7, 8, 9 months, especially at the quarterback position, but lately at other positions as well. But once you add in the LCL also, that starts to concern me a little bit more. And also I'll say, Patrick Mahomes rushing has been one of his most valuable things for fantasy and for the Chiefs. Josh Allen leads all quarterbacks in rushing yards this season with 535. Mahomes is second this season at 422, 30.1 rush yards per game for Mahomes this season. So from a fantasy perspective, I'm at least thinking about that. I don't think it's going to be a long-term issue, but the running has been a hugely valuable part of his game this season and in some big games here lately.
He really turned it on this year. We'd usually see him historically not run a whole lot during the regular season, turn it off during the playoffs. He ran a lot during the regular season this year. We obviously can't expect that to return in 2026.
Yeah, so there's other quarterbacks, Hall of Fame level quarterbacks, that have blown out their knee and come back. Tom Brady blew out his knee famously. Aaron Rodgers did at one point as well. Joe Burrow a few years ago blew out his knee as well and came back to play very well. So far from a death blow, especially in this day and age, for Patrick Mahomes, but certainly watching the LCL part of this. Let's go to the Falcons. This is story number 2. This was the Thursday game, and Kyle Pitts, who was the tight end 16 on the season, in the first week of the fantasy and best ball playoffs, Pitts has one of the greatest single games ever by a tight end. 11 catches, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns on 12 targets against the Bucs. I talked a ton about this on the solo pod. You can search for that anywhere podcasts are found. It's on the Established and Run podcast feed. I was just, pretty depressed and pretty paralyzed by this Pitts thing. If you want a deep dive on it, go listen to the solo pod. But yeah, I can't deny it, Evan. And we've talked about it on here, when Drake London has been out and Kirk Cousins has been the quarterback, Kyle Pitts has been absolutely excellent this season, and he was dominant on Thursday night. Evan, what's your reaction to Kyle Pitts' historic game?
This is the player that the Falcons thought that they were getting when they drafted Kyle Pitts, number 4 overall out of Florida. And now they have a really interesting, because his contract is up.
Mm-hmm.
They were really, are they going to hit him with the franchise tag? That's probably what I think that they will do, because the tight end franchise tag is not particularly expensive compared to other franchise tags. But I think that's probably what they'll end up doing. The Falcons obviously are not in it any longer, and they do anticipate. It sounds like Raheem Morris thinks that Drake London will be back in Week 16. Of course, his recovery timeline has been certainly behind schedule, so who knows? But yeah, I mean, with Kirk Cousins in there, Kyle Pitts has a 7-catch game, a 9-catch game, a 6 for 90, and then this massive eruption.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like completely throw out the last few years, which have been disappointing for Kyle Pitts because he's had a bunch of big games here with Kirk Cousins and without Drake London. However, he's still only 25 years old, and he did battle the PCL stuff for a lot of that malaise that he was in. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, next year I can't wait to take Kyle Pitts in round 3 or round 4 or whatever. However, we have certainly seen him play much, much, much better football this season than he has at any point over the last couple of years. Going forward, I mean, Kirk Cousins showed he can get really concentrated. Only 5 players for the Falcons in this game even saw a target. It was mostly Pitts, Bijan, and David Sills. They get the Cardinals next. It's going to be another good spot for all these guys here, including Kyle Pitts. Story 3, Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has gone full John Elway lately. And yes, it's come in incredible matchups, including Sunday's matchup against the Jets. But Trevor Lawrence absolutely broke the slate on Sunday with 47 DraftKings points from the quarterback position. And it feels like, Evan, Trevor Lawrence is elevating his team now. And that is something I did not think was really in him. He's been in the league for 5 years, but he's been doing it lately. What do you think about Lawrence and latest from the Jaguars after a blowout of the Jets?
It's exciting, talking about players that were drafted super high who years and years and years of not fulfilling expectations. Now, over the last month, Trevor Lawrence has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the last month. Now, we have seen him have runs like this in the past. Maybe not that many, maybe 1 or 2. But, first year in the offense, second half of the first year in the offense, Jacoby Myers, I think, has unlocked some things for the Jaguars passing game. The offensive line, they've got one of the best offensive lines in the league, and no one was really talking about that entering the season. In this game against the Jets, Trevor Lawrence just unleashed on downfield passes. He had 11 completions of 10-plus air yards. That's the most of any game in his career. He ran 5 for 51 and a touchdown on the ground. The Jaguars have won 5 in a row. Now they go to face Denver in Denver. This will be a massive test for them. But they have a shot at the number 1 seed in the AFC. This will be a huge game because right now the Broncos have the number 1 seed in the AFC.
So, Trevor Lawrence has been incredible. He's also played this stretch against some really soft opponents. Last 4 games, Arizona, Tennessee, Indy, and the Jets. And by the way, Indy was without Sauce Gardner in that game. So it's been some really soft matchups here for Trevor Lawrence. I am very interested to see what happens when he goes to Denver to play a real defense, one of the best defense in the league, on Sunday. But there's no doubt Jacoby trade seems like a win. And the Liam Cohen stuff, maybe it just took a while for it to get going because we saw this late last year with the Bucs also, where they started to get real hot. Liam Cohen continues to show that he can be a quarterback whisperer down the stretch here with Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, certainly exciting. A couple other things on Jaguars. Bashal Tutin only played 2 snaps in week 14. In week 15, it looked like he was going to be back to a normalish role, but he only played 11 snaps because he hurt his finger. And not only did he hurt his finger, it's bad enough he has to have surgery. And Bashal Tutin might be out for the rest of the regular season. They do expect him back for the playoffs, but Bashal Tutin probably out for the rest of the regular season now, which sucks. Travis Etienne, that partially at least allowed Travis Etienne to go nuts here, especially catching the football against the Jets. Last thing on the Jaguars. Brian Thomas is alive, Evan. 22% target share here, 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. His price had gotten so low in DFS, especially on FanDuel. Was able to play him a little bit this week. And that was like, can I get a guy that was going 10th overall for like free in DFS? He's still running all the routes, still a talented guy. So it's good to see him at least put it in the box score there for BTJ this week against the Jets.
his box scores have not. He hasn't been lighting up. This is one of his best all season. He's not been lighting up the box score at all. But his on-field play, I think, has improved dramatically from where it was early in the season. Now he's probably going to have to contend with Patrick Surtain in Week 16.
Story number 4, the Los Angeles Rams. Rams win the shootout with the Lions. Rams are now around 60% or so to be the NFC's number 1 seed, but it comes at a cost. Davante Adams, who has been dealing with a hamstring injury for a few weeks now and playing through it and playing well through it, but in this game he actually pulled it, and they're calling him week to week now, not expecting him to play Thursday night in this massive game at Seattle, and that is going to change the complexion of their entire offense here, Evan. It's been so concentrated to Davante and Puka all season. Thoughts on the Rams and the Davante injury here?
Well, I think that actually the biggest beneficiary of no Davante Adams might be not another wide receiver, but Colby Parkinson, who is coming off a 2-touchdown game, so maybe it seems obvious, but is also number 1 in the NFL in red zone targets since Week 7. And that's right around the time that the Rams started making this commitment to 3 tight end, 13 personnel, which I think will be their base offense on Thursday night, assuming that Davante Adams does not play, and I don't think he's going to play. So I think we'll see a lot of Colby Parkinson, a lot of Colby Parkinson. By the way, they were throwing him the ball downfield. He's not just a catch and fall tight end. And they love to throw around the goal line. So, I mean, he's going to be a good bet for a touchdown against Seattle. Terrence Ferguson will play a ton, and Davis Allen will play a ton. Tyler Higbee is going to come back soon, but not this week.
So they can also bump the roles of other wide receivers. In the past, I think Tutu Atwell, I would have said, is the wide receiver who get the biggest boost. But they also have Jordan Whittington. They also have Mumfield. I agree with Evan. They're going to play a ton of 12 and some 13 here as well. But some other wide receiver has to step up. Do you have a preference there, Evan, between Tutu, Whittington, Mumfield, anything like that?
Mumfield was way out in front of the other guys in the last game.
And I think that was Tutu's first game back, if I recall.
Yeah, but I mean, he played 6 snaps or something. So I just think that they're going to use a ton of multiple tight ends.
Yeah.
I think that's where you look in the immediate.
Yeah, that was Tutu's first game since week 7, and he only played 4 snaps. In terms of the tight end routes, in this game, Stafford dropped back 41 times. It was Ferguson 29 routes, Parkinson 26, Davis Allen in third with 17. So yeah, I think that kind of ratio certainly makes plenty of sense there. Last note from you on the Rams, Blake Corum, man, another, even when they're behind, even in a really big game and they're behind, it was still a ton of Blake Corum. Corum 33 snaps, Kyren Williams 39. Corum continues to break off big runs, and they're trusting him around the goal line. So, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it for a month plus now. It's been roughly series by series for Rams running backs. Story 5, let's go to Green Bay. So this was a tough spot for the Packers, I thought. They had that massive game against the Bears in week 14. They have this colossal game against the Bears in week 16. Sandwiched in between there was this week 15 game at Denver. And given that, I thought the offense performed reasonably, but the story was injuries. Micah Parsons, done for the year with a torn ACL, and then oft-injured Christian Watson left this game with a chest injury as well. He had to go to the hospital. Good news is they're calling Watson day-to-day, but the Micah thing I feel like can't be understated. This team was trying to win with a really good defense and some efficient offense. Evan, reaction to the Parsons injury and anything else, Packers?
Oh, man, the Packers, so they went through this immediate lull offensively after they lost Tucker Kraft. And now over the last, 3 games, their offense had really rebounded. But a lot of that had to do, and not in this game with Christian Watson, but a lot of it had to do with Christian Watson. And I don't know, what's the deal with his injury? I've heard may have broken his collarbone,
it said
shoulder, not, someone saying it's not as bad as they thought.
Yeah. I mean, Packers are saying it's not as bad as they thought. They're calling him day to day for what it's worth.
Okay. So he's a key ingredient, as is Zach Tom, starting right tackle, who got injured in this game. Josh Jacobs played great in this game, all things considered. but he's been super banged up. So it's a health concern, I think, in Green Bay right now. That I'm just like, every week you got to look at the injury report to try to figure out what's going to be going on, because there are so many banged up dudes in the offense.
Well, the good news is that Jaden Reed is back and playing well. He ran 31 routes on 46 dropbacks here. So again, as always with Jaden Reed, route rate, snap rate is not going to be great, but he tied for the team lead in targets with 6. And we see this with him all the time, where the playing time, the usage isn't that great, but his targets per route run is among the best in the team. And he's so good after the catch. So, I thought Jaden Reed, and we talked about this over the weekend, about a sharp play with Surtain on the outside and Reed on the inside made a lot of sense. And he played a pretty big game here. Evan mentioned Josh Jacobs. Played through the knee injury, had a really crazy 14-yard touchdown catch, also got 6.1 yards per carry. So dude's just a warrior, keeps grinding through it. I was surprised he played this much and even played in the game, considering how big this game is on Saturday night against the Bears. Packers are favored by 1.5 in Chicago, Evan. Is that a topic on Chicago Sports Talk Radio, that the Packers, without Micah Parsons, maybe without Christian Watson, are favored in Chicago on Saturday night?
I don't listen after Bears wins, or I try not to listen after Bears wins. It's so much more interesting to hear the people when they're mad. I have not listened to Bears radio yet since the Browns game.
All right. Let's go to the NFC now. We'll go in alphabetical order. Start with the Arizona Cardinals. Just the same script again for the Cardinals. Every week they fall behind big early. Every week Jacoby Brissett gets off a zillion attempts. Every week McBride and Michael Wilson go nuts. And this was against arguably the NFL's best defense. I think the NFL's best defense in the Texans. And they still got it done in this kind of fall behind, come back. Trey McBride goes nuts way. Evan, what do you think of Cardinals' loss to the Texans?
Yeah, in the words of the great Josina Anderson, against all odds, the Arizona Cardinals continue to get it done. Despite being like a bottom 5 team in the NFL, they continue to be a hub for fantasy football points. I mean, I can't believe it. I made the comparison on our Sunday show to that year with Blake Bortles and Allen Robinson, where Bortles threw like 30-something touchdown pass. I think they went 5-11, and Allen Robinson might have led the league in receiving yards or something. It was just like, yeah, but it's garbage time. Yeah, but it keeps happening. Yeah, but it's garbage time. Yeah, but it keeps happening. And I mean, we're on a run of like almost 10 games now of this continuing, of Jacoby Brissett putting up 20-plus fantasy points week in and week out. Doesn't even matter who the opponent is. And they get it done in the fourth quarter because they do not take their foot off the gas when it comes to just throwing the piss out of the football.
Trey McBride is having a truly historic season, maybe the best tight end season ever. Trey McBride has played 9 games with Jacoby Brissett. McBride's 17-game pace in those games is 143 catches, 1,503 yards, and 17 touchdowns. And we got a question for you, Evan, from our own Drew Dinkmeyer. Drew Dinkmeyer submitted a question. He said, you should ask Silva if 2 moms is the optimal way to raise a generational tight end, and if the country needs more two mom tight end households, because if those who aren't aware, Trey McBride has 2 moms and is perhaps the best tight end ever. So yes, do you want to address Drew's question here?
That is a question that he asked, and knowing that I'm not going to answer that publicly. And I was so locked into George Kittle this week, and George Kittle had a great game, but man, it crossed my mind because Trey McBride was so expensive.
Yeah.
He was like $2,000 more than Kittle.
Yep.
On DraftKings. And I was like, man, what about pay up to be contrarian this week? And I didn't look at the lineup that won the Millie Maker, but I was wondering if he was in it and if you checked.
I'm not sure. It was not in the live final. Shout out to Wiggins, who got 9th in the live final, ended up winning around $400K. But McBride was not in the winner of the live final, if I recall. It's just really hard to get there at 7,400, given how tight the slate was this week. Bam Knight got hurt here. They're calling it a really bad sprain, so it would not shock me if Bam Knight is done. That left Michael Carter as the feature back. Amari DiMercato came into this game banged up. They didn't want to use him beyond a pass game role. So Michael Carter as feature back going forward here. I don't have a lot of excitement around that, but if you're desperate in your Super Bowl, I hope you're not desperate enough for Michael Carter, but I do think he's going to get some volume.
We should also mention that the team that Adam mentioned at the top that is in 8th overall place right now in FFPC main event, we drafted Trey McBride 11th overall or 10th overall.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got a lot of criticism. Oh my God, you're taking a tight end 10th or 11th overall. This is tight end premium, so you have to adjust for that. And Trey McBride, I mean, he's a machine. It's not just like spiked weeks either, which he has plenty of spiked weeks. He has 5 or more catches in 16 straight games.
Yeah. By the way, Jacoby Brissett is averaging 48.4 dropbacks per game in his 9 starts. That is so far and away more than any other quarterback. I mean, Mahomes was second at 42 dropbacks per game, so 6 clear of any other quarterback. It's just so wild how many times Brissett is dropping back per game. Panthers. This was a huge chance for the Panthers to grab hold of the NFC South after the Bucs lost on Thursday. But the Panthers muster just 17 points against the Saints and lose the game. Tedero McMillan, that was close on a couple plays, couldn't get it done. And that was really a difference in the game, and also maybe the difference in Tedero McMillan's Offensive Rookie of the Year hopes. Evan, what do you think of Panthers' loss to the Saints?
Yeah, Joe Person, who's covered the Panthers for a long time, formerly Charlotte Observer and now The Athletic, was suggesting that maybe Ted McMillan has hit a rookie wall. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, this passing game just isn't that good and may never be that good with Bryce Young at quarterback. By the way, Dave Canales openly discussed the weight of Bryce Young this week when he was talking about doing tush pushes or sneaks, and he's like, I don't want to do sneaks and tush pushes with Bryce Young because he weighs 190 pounds.
Yeah.
And I think he was 208 at the combine. He is listed at 190 on some websites. But he's 190 pounds, and, maybe on game day, he's in the 180s. I mean, I just want to emphasize how small he is. They can't use him in certain situations because of how small he is. But I think that this passing game is just it has a lid on it.
Yeah, and this is always what happens with small quarterbacks. It's like, oh, he's going to be the next Drew Brees. That's really, really hard to do. Bryce Young has now been under 200 passing yards in 10 of his 13 games this season, including this one here against the Saints. The running back stuff we talked about, it was Rico Dowdle, 34 snaps, Chuba Hubbard, 24. They each ran 14 routes. But Rico Dowdle, as we kind of expected, remained the early down back and the better bet for the rushing touchdowns. Dowdle had 16 carries, gets the short touchdown. Chuba, just 8 carries here. So, yeah, I think the way the split is right now makes sense to be sticky for me rest of way. Bears. Bears handle the lowly Browns in frigid Chicago conditions, win 31-3. Most frustrating part of this game for me was pregame, before it even started. Rome Odunze, who's been battling this foot issue, aggravates the foot injury in warmups, doesn't play in the game. They're calling him week to week, and they won't even rule out a shutdown of Rome Odunze. So this is bad right now for Rome. Evan, any thoughts on that? Any other Bears thoughts out of this win over the Browns?
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't even make it through warmups. He's got a stress fracture in his foot. I wonder if there might be a procedure coming, and then they try to get him ramped up and ready to go for the playoffs. Their playoff odds or their playoff percentage right now is 81%, and all they have to do is pretty much just win one of their final 3 games to get in. Caleb has been awesome for his last 6 quarters of play, going back to that second half against Green Bay. He's made any number of sensational throws. You see one of the touchdowns to DJ Moore. I saw someone did a highlight of Joe Montana's the catch throw to Dwight Clark and Caleb making the throw to DJ Moore, and it's literally the exact same throw, literally the exact same play. On play action in this game, Caleb Williams went 10 of 13 for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's been sort of a slow ramp up, but I think that this passing game, even without Rome Odunze, who had not been playing well anyways. I mean, you remember his catch rate since their bye in week 5 was 43.6%. I don't know that he's an asset to the passing game anymore, especially because you can put in Luther Burden and get more dynamic production. Now, we need to figure out, are you worried at all about the Luther Burden injury?
Yeah, so they're calling Luther Burden day to day. I would consider him questionable for this game on Saturday right now.
Yeah. So, but hey, the Bears have the Packers right where they want them. I mean, no Micah Parsons, really banged up on offense at Soldier Field. It's supposed to be balmy on Saturday night, like in the mid 30s.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge, huge game, obviously. But Caleb has been balling, man. I mean, hats off to him. He keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. So I know we talk about Luther Burden a lot on here. It's just hard to underemphasize how good he's been on an underlying stat basis, on like a per route basis. He is up to 2.48 yards per route run is Luther Burden. That is truly elite, like top 10 in the entire NFL, not just among rookies. However, he just can't get enough playing time. I mean, he only ran 16 routes in this game. I know part of that was due to the ankle issue, but he ran 16 routes, Zacchaeus 25. On those 16 routes, Burden got 7 targets. I mean, they not only is he earning targets at a really high rate, but he's producing on them. 6 catches, 84 yards on those 7 targets. So, Zacchaeus, and if you compare it to the other guys like Rome Odunze and Zacchaeus, I mean, Zacchaeus is at 0.91 yards per route run. So, yeah, really excited about Luther Burden and excited for this game on Saturday. Bears, it's really a battle for the number 2 seed. Whoever wins.
Looking historically, 2.0, a flat 2.0 is a great number for a rookie in terms of yards per route run, and he is well above that. So, and if you remember, man, JJ Zacharyason's model, Lance Zierlein, I mean, they're like reputable draft analysis types that had Luther Burden as the best receiver in this draft. And could you say with definitiveness right now that he's not the best receiver in this draft? He's got the best yards per route run.
He's outplayed McMillan for much of the year. I think, a lot of McMillan's issues go back to the Bryce Young stuff, but yeah, he's outplayed from, on a per route basis. He's certainly outplayed Tedero McMillan this year. Let's go to the Cowboys. This was the Sunday night game. It was a painful loss on national television for the Cowboys, as now they are just about eliminated from the playoffs, and it comes at the hands of JJ McCarthy. I mean, we'll talk more about McCarthy when we get to the Vikings, but I simply thought the Cowboys defense would play better in this game, and they didn't. And we also got another floor game from George Pickens, which was just brutal for me personally. Evan, thoughts on Cowboys' season-ending loss to the Vikings?
Yeah, it was brutal for me too. I had so much Dak in different leagues, and I mean, CeeDee Lamb was good, but he was like all that was good other than Javonte Williams, who left the game for a minute and then came back in. But, going up against one of the best defenses in the league, Brian Flores does it year in, year out. I think that he should get a head coaching job after this season. But I mean, I also can't say I was surprised.
Yeah, for sure. But they have another tough matchup this week in week 16. I mean, they have to play the Chargers at home. Chargers perimeter defenders in the pass game have just been lights out. I mean, it's really hard to throw to the outside, and that's not great for George Pickens here coming up. We'll talk more about that on Friday. Cowboys do get to play the Commanders in week 17, at least. Let's go to the Lions. This was the game that everyone expected to be a shootout, and it was. Lions go to LA and score 34 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown loses his mind, 13 catches, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's still not enough as Lions fall to the Rams and fall to 8-6. Evan, what do you think of Lions game out there in LA?
Well, I loved seeing Jameson Williams have another monster game, and I've been wondering for the last several weeks. You remember the crier, the Jameson Williams crier in the YouTube comments who would, I mean, well, you don't know because you don't read the comments, but I do. And there was a guy who every single week was crying and whining about Jameson Williams week in and week out, not realizing how much Jameson Williams, how unselfish he is and what a team player he is. And I was out there blocking his tail off for other guys on the team and just being one of the most unselfish, complete wide receivers in the league. Well, this crier was crying about Jameson Williams. Silva had him ranked as the number 15 fantasy receiver before the season. He's got 17 catches through 7 games. Well, guess what? I just checked, and Jamison Williams is the number 12 overall fantasy receiver on the season. So take that, Cryer.
No one's safe in the YouTube comments. I mean, part of this with Jamison Williams is it's getting so concentrated. Only 3 players, and part of that is Laporta being out and a bunch of tight ends being out, but only 3 players got more than 1 target in this game from Jared Goff, and Goff threw it 41 times. Monrot, 18 targets, J-Mo, 9, and Gibbs, 7. I mean, that's it. Everybody else got 1 target or less. So, man, when it's super concentrated like that, and you're playing the Rams, and you're on the turf, it's just so exciting for
And your
all the
defense has fallen apart, particularly your secondary.
Right. I mean, no Terry Arnold, no Brian Branch. I mean, yeah. And so home against the Steelers next. Steelers really try to slow the game down. And we'll talk more about that on the Friday show, but certainly another reasonable spot for the Lions to put up points home against the Steelers this week.
One thing to note in this game is that the Rams shut down the Lions running game.
Yeah.
I was listening to Nate Tice's podcast, and the Lions had 4 successful runs in this entire game. All 4 were from David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs is just, I mean, you're going to have to live with it. Like, he's boomer busty. He's boomer busty on a play-to-play basis, and he's also boomer busty week to week. I think it was Underdog that had the tweet, like, monster game, slow game, monster game, slow game, and that's been going on for like 8 weeks.
Undoubtedly. Vikings. The 9 people are back, Evan. JJ McCarthy and the Vikings go to Dallas and win 34-26. McCarthy throws for 2 touchdowns, runs for another. I mean, he's not phased. He grittied into the end zone. It's still far from perfect. I mean, only 15 of 24 passing. He had that one weird/bad interception early. But overall, certainly far less mistakes from McCarthy. What do you think of his game and the Vikings win at Dallas?
Yeah, I think this was the best game of his career, JJ McCarthy. I mean, last week he threw 3 touchdowns and he was pretty good in fantasy, but he didn't really play that good of a game. It was about the same as his usual games. But this week, going up against a pretty formidable opponent, although I think that it was a flash in the pan that the Cowboys really got their defense together there for those 2 or 3 weeks. But I mean, still, a decent opponent on the road for JJ McCarthy to play like this, I mean, it gives you some hope. It gives Thor Nystrom some hope. He's got to be feeling good. Thor Nystrom took a ton of heat for getting it wrong on JJ McCarthy, but now he's strung together a couple back-to-back good games.
I don't think there's any signal here. I think it's all noise. But for what it's worth, McCarthy has been much better throwing to Jalen Naylor and Jordan Addison than Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, since McCarthy returned from injury/benching 7 games ago, Justin Jefferson has 1 touchdown and has not topped 61 yards in a game. Over his last 3 games, Justin Jefferson has a total of 6 catches. So I think that's just kind of fluky and noisy. If McCarthy can get it together and complete passes to Addison and Naylor, he can do it to Jefferson, obviously. But it's pretty concerning out there. Like, if I was drafting now for next year, I don't think I'd take Justin Jefferson in the first round. And, like, I'd think long and hard about it in the second round as well. So, yeah, Evan, any thoughts on the Justin Jefferson-McCarthy situation?
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask you. So Justin Jefferson has been flat out bad this year. And he also has faced a ton of double teams. I mean, it's particularly in obvious, like, third down situations and in scoring position, there will be 2 and 3 guys around him. However, the great receivers do succeed despite what's going on around them. Are we able to consider Justin Jefferson in the same league as Jamar Chase and Jackson Smith and Jigba? Based on what he's done this season, I understand all the things that have been working against him. Trust me. Yeah. I have him in an FFPC main event where we just died, and he didn't help us at all. He had 8 targets and 2 catches for 22 yards. So I'm very, very well aware of what has been going on with Justin Jefferson, but can we still consider him to be in that class?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think the situation has been so bad that what Justin Jefferson did over his first 3 years of his NFL career, to me, is so outlier that, like, it's hard for me to say anything bad about him. I think he's still easily one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL. Does that mean I would take him, though, in fantasy as high as round 2 next year? That'll be a question that we can hit more obviously, over the next few months. Let's go to Saints. This was another reasonable Tyler Shuck game. Saints beat the Panthers 20-17. Shuck is now 3-4 as a starter for the Saints. He's also run for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns in his last 3. His Rookie of the Year odds are up to like 16-1, which honestly, it's so wide open, Rookie of the Year. I don't think it's that crazy if he can somehow win 3 more games here down the stretch. Evan, thoughts on Shuck and Saints win over the Panthers?
Yeah, this was a really nice game by Tyler Shuck, and he delivered. He's getting the ball to Chris Olave on a consistent basis. Devon Vele has been, a factor with Tyler Shuck. I mean, he could throw the ball and he can run. I mean, I don't want to say that he's definitely the Saints quarterback of the future by any means, but I mean, at very least, I think that they've got a guy who will be competing to start in 2026. And at very least is a guy that looks like a really good backup.
Yeah, agreed. Bad news for the Saints in this game was they lost Devin Neal to a hamstring injury and Devon Vele to a shoulder injury. There's not a lot to chew on here from a fantasy perspective. If Neal is out this week, I would expect some mix of Evan Hull, Audric Estime, maybe a little Taysom Hill. So, yeah, not that exciting, but sucks because Devin Neal was really getting a big chance here and was doing reasonably with it. Giants. Jackson Dart continues to flash this extremely fantasy-friendly game. Throws for 2 more touchdowns, runs for 63 yards, but Giants fall to 2-12 with a home loss to the Commanders. Evan, thoughts on Giants' latest loss?
Well, we, talk every single week about design runs, and sometimes it just doesn't matter because Jackson Dart is going to run. He told us that he's going to run, and he had, I think, one of his best rushing games of the year here. He also went through concussion check for the 5th time this season. So I don't know what are they going to do with this kid? I mean, they're just going to let him keep going through concussion checks. Darius Slayton actually had a decent game, but it would have been much better. And I was on him in DFS. I think you were on him in DFS. A lot of people were. Drops a sure touchdown.
Yeah.
That was painful.
Indeed. One of the stories to me coming into this game was what would the split be between Tracy and Devin Singletary. Tracy was simming so well in the DFS stuff for us because we had a pretty good projection on him and he wasn't going to be owned. It was actually wider than we thought. Tyrone Tracy, 52 snaps. Devin Singletary, just 16. Tyrone Tracy played a really good game, scored twice. So good to see that gap there so wide for the Tracy fans out there. One thing about this, though, man, like, I can't believe the Giants' defense is so bad. The defensive line that they invested so much in is just not doing it. But they're like core, Dart, Tracy, Wandale, Neighbors, Slayton, Theo Johnson. It's not that bad. And like, if you can fix offensive line, defense, and they have right now, if the season ends today, they'd have the number 1 pick. So I don't know that Mike Kafka is going to keep the job, but I still think it's a pretty good job, for someone to come get. Like, they have some actual pieces.
Yeah, the problem stems from ownership.
Yeah.
And are they going to try to keep Joe Shane?
Yeah.
And I mean, they've been like a legit. I mean, I know that they're one of the most storied franchises in all of the NFL, but they have not had good ownership for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, John Mara is a classic like Nepo baby who, grew up given everything and never had to make a difficult decision in his life. So when he has to make difficult decisions, he usually makes the wrong one. That's just kind of been the story of the Giants for the last 15 years.
Speaking of difficult decisions, like I said, they do hold the number 1 overall pick right now. However, they play the Raiders in week 17, and whoever loses that game is really likely to get the number 1 pick. So eyes on that one for Giants fans who want the number 1 overall pick. Let's go to the Eagles. Eagles take out their frustrations on the pathetic Raiders. Eagles put up 31 points on offense, deal a shutout on defense. It was such a bloodbath that Jalen Hurts only needed 15 pass attempts to throw 3 touchdowns, 2 of them to Goddard. Actually, should have been another one. Goddard dropped the easiest touchdown. I mean, you mentioned Slayton. The one that Goddard dropped was like the easiest touchdown catch I may have ever seen in my entire life. Still, of course, he gets 2 touchdowns. They have run so many plays designed to Goddard around the goal line this season. Evan, what do you think of Eagles ravaging of the Raiders?
Kind of what I expected. I thought that this was a classic get right spot for everybody on the Eagles defensively and offensively. I mean, they had the ball for 40 minutes in this game. The Raiders had the ball for 20. So, and the Eagles took care of business. And I think I like the direction of the off. I think that they might be turning it around offensively. I know it's the Raiders, okay? But I do think that there are positive signs with regard to the Eagles offense because they've ran the ball pretty well in back. I know they didn't have a high, super high yards per carry average, but they got a bunch of chunk runs in this game. They've ran the ball pretty well in back-to-back games. That's what they need. I think that Lane Johnson will be back sooner rather than later, based on his tweets at least. And they got Goddard cooking a little bit. So,
yeah,
I'm feeling better about them right now. They also have one of the best defense in the league.
For sure. I don't know. I didn't think that they ran the ball particularly well in this game. Like, you're home against the Raiders and Saquon gets 3.5 yards per carry. And like, if we remove
that's kind of like, better than he's been doing.
I know. But like, if we remove the fake tush push from last week, like, nothing's really changed. I did think that there was some Eagles people were talking about a change where Sirianni was getting more involved in the offense and they're running more crossers, fewer hitches, which, I think is a notable change for a lot of teams if that is sticky. But yeah, they needed to change something for sure. And so I think they are working towards that. At Commanders, at Bills to finish out the fantasy season for the Eagles.
Those are opportunities for them to run the ball successfully because neither of those teams can stop the run.
Absolutely. Niners put 37 points on the Titans. Story was Christian McCaffrey popped up on the injury report Saturday with a back issue. He was quiet in this game, but I don't think it had anything to do with the back. I mean, he said it just tightened up on him. No big deal. He was fine. They even left him in for some garbage time, and McCaffrey finished with 22 carries. So, not concerned on the McCaffrey stuff. Incredible season of health. Incredible season overall, but incredible season of health for Christian McCaffrey. And Purdy was really good here as well. Evan, what do you think of Niners win over the Titans?
Another game that I think kind of went as expected. I think that it was just the perfect opportunity coming off the bye. Brock Purdy, got over that toe thing that had been bothering. He was not playing well before the bye. They had everybody healthy. Now Ricky Pearsall goes down on a freaking hip trot tackle, and he was bawling.
Yeah.
Man, did you see him limping off?
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like he aggravated his PCL.
Yep.
And he suffered an ankle injury. And man, I don't know if we're going to see him be productive the rest of the year. And he was playing really, really well in this game. That was sad. But Brock Purdy balled out. Kittle balled out. Juwan Jennings scored a couple of touchdowns. This team is going, and they still gave up 24 to the Titans.
Yeah.
This team is going to be put in shootout situations the rest of the way and into the playoffs. But that's good for us in fantasy.
Yeah. Just sucks on Pearsall because the PCL stuff is like, it sucks generally, and now he's aggravated it. So
yep.
It's not ideal. Not ideal whatsoever.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that because remember how long it took for him to come back initially?
Yeah, he was out like 6-7 weeks. Yeah.
He was third in the NFL in receiving yards through 3 weeks. He suffered that injury. He was out for like 6 weeks. He probably had an aggravation in there somewhere too. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's aggravated multiple times.
Let's go to the Seahawks. Seahawks beat Grandpa Phillip Rivers, but it wasn't easy. In fact, Seahawks needed a last-second drive from Darnold and a 56-yard field goal from Jason Myers with 18 seconds left to win this game, 18-16. They just can't run the ball. For a team that relies on defense and efficiency, usually those teams can run the ball well. Their run game is so bad. Kenneth Walker, 9 carries, 17 yards here. Charbonnet, 8 carries, 31 yards. I mean, pretty pathetic from them. Evan, what do you think of Seahawks' narrow win over the Colts?
So pathetic, and it has not gotten better. It's maybe even gotten worse, the Seahawks running game over the course of the season. And then in this game, on the Jason Myers field goal, Charles Cross, their starting left tackle, probably their best offensive lineman, suffered a hamstring injury on that. And I don't think he's going to play on Thursday night. So that's a big concern. They kicked 6 field goals in this game. Jason Myers is on pace to break David Akers' record for the most field goals in a season. JSN still gets there despite everything working against him. And then Rashid Shaheed has strung together a couple of nice games. This was his highest snap percentage of any game since he joined the Seahawks.
Yeah, Shaheed actually ran one more route than Cooper Kupp, and that was a change. Shaheed 32 routes, Kupp 31. That was on 39 Sam Darnold dropbacks. Shaheed also made some huge plays on that last drive. Shaheed had 2 really big catches. I mean, he effectively won the game for him, and that'll get him, I think, his role will continue to grow. Evan mentioned another big JSN game. Offensive Player of the Year now, JSN is out to minus 550. JT and Puka well behind JSN. Bucks. Just a horrific loss. Horrific loss for the Bucks at home on Thursday night to the Falcons. I'm honestly not even sure how they lost. The Falcons committed 19 penalties in this game. Like, there was a play Darnell Mooney fumbled. There were 6 Bucks around the football. They couldn't pick it up. I don't know what Baker was looking at that last interception, but now the Bucks are down at 7-7. They're lucky the Panthers lost their game against the Saints, because otherwise they'd be in big trouble here. But yeah, embarrassing loss for the Bucks. Evan, what do you think of their game on Thursday?
Yeah, it was a super frustrating game. I mean, if you were betting it, I know that Bucky Irving had the most bets of any player to the anytime touchdown, and immediately, as soon as the game starts, Sean Tucker is in at the goal line.
Yeah, they did that twice. Like, they clearly wanted Sean Tucker around the goal line. Yeah.
Yep, and that was super frustrating. It was super frustrating if you benched Mike Evans, which, dude, I'm to the point where, like, if we see a reporter saying, oh, their snaps will be limited, like, the coaches can make changes during the game, number one. And if a dude is balling and he's feeling good and he's freaking Mike Evans, like, the coaching can be like, hey, Mike, come out here. We're going to put in Tez Johnson for you.
Yeah.
Like, no. Mike Evans is going to stay in the freaking game. He's got a gold jacket coming to him. He's staying in, and he's going 6 for 132.
Yeah, and this is something we've looked at in DFS. Guys can be healthier in their first game back. Like, everybody's playing through injury right now. Mike Evans has been out for so long. He can be healthier than these other guys that have been battling for the last, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Mike Evans only ran 28 routes on 40 dropbacks, but that was enough for him to get 12 targets and ball out. So, yeah, I mean, these guys' first game back,
he looked great, too.
Yeah, I don't mind playing it at all. Play it before you see it.
With the exception of an early potential touchdown catch that I think he should have had, I mean, I thought Mike Evans looked great.
Yeah. The thing about Bucky, and just thinking about this long-term on Bucky, if they prefer someone else around the goal line, and they prefer someone else in 2-minute drill like Rachaad White, which they've done, it doesn't leave a lot of, like, exciting high-value touches for Bucky. And I still love Bucky. I think he's an awesome player. But this role stuff where Tucker takes the goal line and Rachaad White takes the passing, it's just not good for Bucky's long-term outlook.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a good game in this one. Huge loss for the Bucs, too.
Huge loss. Let's go to the last NFC team, Washington football team. I'll just get out of the way first. Jaden Daniels has been ruled out for the rest of the season. In terms of this game, the big news came 90 minutes before kick. Chris Rodriguez was scratched. That opened the door for one of fantasy's most controversial players, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, to get a real workload. Jeremy McNichols started and got the first 4 carries, but JCM came in because they controlled the game, and he got 18 carries. He played well, 96 yards and a touchdown, no targets. Evan, thoughts on the JCM game and any other Commanders thoughts?
Yeah, he can run it. It's just they don't trust him to do anything else. He didn't have a single target in this game, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Chris Rodriguez, of course, was out with the groin injury. I don't know. He's been dealing with that groin injury for a little while, I think. So we'll see where he's at going forward. They got the Eagles next. That's going to be really tough. One of the best defenses in the league. Love to see Terry McLaurin healthy. He is 100%, and he had a big touchdown here. Jalen Lane, who I'd like to see more of. I mean, he's flashed when he's got an opportunity. He has 0 catches since week 11, but he has 2 punt return touchdowns. Good with the ball in his hands. YouTube commenters stand down.
What do you think of their decision to shut down Jaden Daniels? Because when Jaden Daniels aggravated his left elbow injury against the Vikings, The report was, he could have come back in. It's not a big deal. And now they decide not to play him. Like, I understand sitting him out one game, but now they don't want to play him the last 3 games. I think it's good to try to get some momentum, to try to just play ball and play against live bullets. But I also get it from a health perspective. Any thoughts on the shutdown of Jaden Daniels?
I just don't know enough about his health situation to have I mean, if he's healthy, he should be playing.
Yeah.
And I think he'd want to be playing, and I think that they should be playing. So I just assume that he's just not healthy enough to play. Also, our boy Ben Sinnott, he had a big catch down the seam for 36 yards. He played 57% of the snaps. Hopefully we'll get more of a look at him. He was a second-round pick in the draft.
Yeah.
He was a big-time athlete. He had some great blocks on some of the Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt runs. So hopefully we can see more of Ben Sinnott down the stretch.
Yeah, as suspected, though, they just don't trust him in the pass game that much. 10 routes for Ben Sinnott. He have 2 girlfriends on 26 dropbacks. John Bates ran 13 routes more than Sinnott. So, yeah. There's no better way to get closer to the action than with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. Right now, our partners at DK are giving new customers a shot to play free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DK Daily Fantasy app. Simply download DK and enter promo code ETR during signup to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plays in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit required. One single-use 3-hour ticket rewarded that expires in 14 days. Ends December 31st. See terms at DraftKings.com/promotions. Let's go to the AFC now. Start with the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens went into frigid Cincinnati and pitch a shutout. Win 24-0. Lamar Jackson attempted 12 passes in this game and only ran it 2 times. That is all it took for the Ravens to dominate this game. They ran the ball. They dominated with defense. Old school Ravens win here. Evan, what do you think of their game against the Bengals?
Yeah, and the Bengals wound up having the ball a lot, even though they didn't do anything. Pat Thorman was tweeting about that. But yeah, I mean, they weren't a lot of. Yeah, the Bengals had the ball for 40 minutes. The Ravens only had the ball for 20.
Yeah.
Lamar only had 2 runs against the Bengals. They went for 12 and 14 yards. He did hit 19.2 miles per hour on his 12-yard run, and that's a pretty short run. You know, obviously you're running 30 or 40 yards downfield, you're going to continue to pick up miles per hour. But I mean, that was a pretty fast run, but he only had 2 of them.
Yeah. Zay Flowers continues to get caught at like the 5-yard line on so many of these. I don't really understand why or how. It seems kind of fluky to me, but his numbers could be so much bigger than they've been here this season.
He's top 15 in the NFL in yards per route run. I mean, he's had a really nice year, like in real life.
For sure. Keaton Mitchell, remember, hurt his knee last week. He was fine and active here. He got a bunch of carries. 3 of them came in garbage time, and the game was in control for most of it, but he's at least mixing in behind Derrick Henry as a change of pace here. Rasheen Ali scored in the Justice Hill pass down role in this game. Ravens are 7-7 now. They are in a battle for the AFC North with the Steelers. Would be the 4 seed if they get in. Ravens home against the Patriots this week. Bills. I mean, it felt like this one was over. The Bills got down 21-0 out of the gate in this massive AFC East game at Foxborough. Bills were down 24-7 at halftime. They were giving up these like massive, they did give up 2 massive home runs to Travion Henderson. And still, somehow the Bills find a way to win 35-31 and keep their hopes alive to win the AFC East. Evan, what do you think of Bills win in Foxborough?
Oh, man, this was a tough one for the Patriots and their fans. Did you see, like, on the broadcast, like, Scott Zolak, who's, like, the biggest Patriot homer of all time, was, like, declaring the Patriots, like, the champions and everything like that, like, at halftime? I was getting texts from Ryan Noonan. I think we've had him on the show, and he's a huge Patriots homer, and he's like – I mean, they thought they had it won,
Yep.
you know, they did. They had him in the first half, you know, but Josh Allen, my goodness gracious, surging up the MVP odds market. Last I looked, he was plus 550. I mean, would you bet him there? I mean, I think I would.
You're going to need Stafford to lose games.
You need Stafford to lose on Thursday night.
Correct. If Stafford wins on Thursday, I think he will win MVP. If he loses, I think Josh is most likely, yes.
I think it's actually maybe down to Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. I'm not sure that Drake May is really, I mean, he's still kind of in it, but I think it's going to come down to Stafford or Josh Allen.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think if we're being real, Josh Allen is the most valuable player in the NFL.
Oh, not even close. Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous how valuable Josh Allen is. I mean, he's throwing to total dust balls. In this game, Gabe Davis was inactive. Josh Allen only threw to 3 wide receivers. They were Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer, and Brandon Cooks. And Dalton Kincaid only ran 16 routes on 35 dropbacks. Like, he is throwing to total dust. I mean, Dawson Knox scored 2 touchdowns on 15 routes. So yeah,
and having to compensate for, a defense that can give up 30 in any given week.
Yep. Bills are at Cleveland this week and then home against Philly to end their fantasy season. Bengals. This was a concerning Bengals performance. I mean, I get that it was freezing. I get that T. Higgins didn't play. I get the Ravens defense has been playing much, much, much better since they got a bunch of their guys back. But Burrow, 0 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, and they get shut out. I mean, when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and you get shut out, that is really concerning. And also Burrow, he's going through like an emo phase. I don't know. He said some weird stuff in a press conference last week. Evan, any thoughts on Bengals loss to the Ravens here?
Yeah, I think that the kind of feeling, is that maybe he's kind of checked out and you remember the Bengals wore out Carson Palmer to the point he was like, I would rather retire than play another down. Did you see before the game? So there was snow in the seats in Cincinnati and they didn't clear the snow, which is against league rules because presumably Mike Brown is so cheap that he doesn't want to pay workers to go clear off the snow off the seats in Cincinnati. I mean, it is that bad though. I mean, and it has been that bad for a long, long time. Everybody knows that in the NFL. And I think that Joe Burrow is almost to his wit's end with it. And I understand we've seen it happen to another great quarterback before.
Yeah. T. Higgins is still in protocol as of now. I was encouraged last week that he got to practice at least. Like, he wasn't just sitting out and shut it down. But now that they're officially eliminated from the playoffs, we'll see on T. I'm really hopeful he plays. I still have him in some big spots and hope to be able to use him because they play at Miami next. This could be a really fun game in fantasy semifinal week if T is out there. And we'll get to the Tua stuff here in a second. But yeah, really good spot for them. With T out this past week, though, as expected, Jamar Chase, 41% target share. Yoshi Voss ran 40 routes, didn't catch a ball. Tinsley only ran 18 routes. Gesicki, 33 routes and was unable to do much. Chase Brown in the passing game was another note that I had. I mean, Chase Brown now has 5 games this season with 6+ catches. He caught 7 more balls here. Joe Burrow is a very good thrower of the football to the running back position, and that benefits Chase Brown and P. Ryan here plenty. Chase Brown, 29 routes. P. Ryan, 14. P. Ryan did leave briefly with an ankle injury, but was able to come back into the game.
Mitchell Tinsley. I mean, like, I don't want to be mean, but he is really bad. And this guy is out here like an every down player when one of the other guys is out. That could have been Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
What is Jermaine Burton doing? I mean, I know that he's now cut and no one picked him up, but like that could have been that's so much opportunity that Jermaine Burton just totally threw away.
Yeah, and I think the Bengals know Tinsley's not that good. They only ran him for 18 routes in this game. So, yeah, I mean, the Tinsley thing it was bad. It was bad for sure. Browns. Thought this would be a really tough spot for Shedeur Sanders against the Bears, and it was. The offensive line just so decimated by injury, freezing temperatures. Bears defense is improving. No Dylan Sampson for checkdowns, and Shedeur reverted to his college sack-taking form. Takes 5 of them here. So the Shedeur people were very quiet this week. Evan, thoughts on Browns game against the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, they just did nothing. Shedeur, you do have to keep in context that the Browns were without 4 of their starting offensive linemen.
Yep.
And but it's and Shador Sanders had a really high pressure rate in this game, but a lot of those pressures are because he's holding the ball for 3.5 seconds,
Yep.
which he also did in the previous game against Tennessee, by the way, but he got away with it. But he was not able to get away with it here, and everyone was a bust. Yeah, I mean, the Browns didn't have the ball, and when they did have the ball, they did not run the ball successfully whatsoever. So Quinshaw Judkins, geez, if you would have told me before the game that we were going to get 4 targets from Quinshaw Judkins, I mean, I might have played him in DFS, and that would have been a huge error because he got nothing going on the ground.
Oh, I mean, this is back-to-back games under 2.0 yards per carry for Quinshaw Judkins. I mean, offensive line certainly has part to do with it, but Judkins is now down to 3.6 yards per carry here in his rookie season. Harold Fannin had 14 targets. No one else on the team had more than 4. I mean, earning targets is a skill, and Njoku was out for this game, which certainly matters to Fannin. But earning targets is a skill. Not only has Fannin earned targets at a really strong rate this year, but he's done pretty well with them if you adjust for situations. So, yeah.
He's been one of the best run after catch tight ends in the NFL.
For sure. Broncos. Well, as a lifelong Broncos fan since November, I'm just so proud of this team. I mean, beat the Packers at home, clinch a playoff spot. Broncos are now 12-2, and they're like 74% to be the AFC's number 1 seed and get the bye. And in this game, we got good Bo Nix. I mean, we've talked about how volatile Bo Nix's play is, from really good to just flat out bad. This was one of Bo Nix's best games ever in the NFL. 23 of 34, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, took no sacks, made some incredible throws, did Bo Nix, into really small windows. So it's exciting here in Denver, man. I mean, people are all jacked up. Evan, what do you think of Broncos' win over the Packers?
Yeah, Bo Nix, I mean, he is very volatile, but he's been playing well for a month now. I mean, he's been playing pretty good for an extended stretch, and I agree with you. This was maybe the best game of his career. He's got, about 30 starts under his belt. I think that this might have been the best one. Yeah. Cortland Sutton balled out. Troy Franklin jumped in for Pat Bryant. He balled out. Lil Jordan Humphrey scored a touchdown. Yeah, this was a pretty complete effort by the Broncos, at least in the passing game.
Yeah, Evan mentioned no Pat Bryant. Little Jordan Humphrey was actually second in routes behind Cortland Sutton with 28. Troy Franklin only ran 23 routes on 37 Bo Nix dropbacks, but shower narrative hits. I mean, Troy Franklin, 6 catches, 85 yards, and a touchdown here. By the way, shower narrative was confirmed last week by former NHL player Paul Bissonnette. I'm sure I butchered that name, but he went out and confirmed.
I knew you'd love this story.
Oh, he confirmed it in a big way. You guys got to find this clip. I tweeted it last week. I mean, if you don't believe in the shower narrative after that from last week, and by the way, for anyone new, we're talking about players who showered together in college having more chemistry on the field in the NFL. That is Bo Nix and Troy Franklin for sure. Last thing on Broncos, RJ Harvey hurt his ribs in this game. Does not sound overly serious, but we'll see because they're thin. I mean, J.K. Dobbins is done. They have McLaughlin. They have the passing back, Bidet. They signed Cody Schrader off waivers on Monday. I hope Harvey's able to play, man, because he has a really good role right now. So, yeah, I hope he's able to play. We'll see.
Cody Schrader played running back at Missouri with Brady Cook.
Texans.
And they had Luther Burden, too.
Ooh, what a team.
And they had Membu, who the Jets drafted.
He's a good player, yeah. Let's go to the Texans here now. Texans moved to 9-5 with a 40-20 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Story was Woody Marks, seemingly on way to a big game early. Nick Chubb was inactive. He does score on I think they scored it a fumble recovery touchdown for Woody Marks, but whatever. After that, he hurts his ankle. After the game, they say Woody Marks could have come back in if the game was close. Just sucks because Jawar Johnson came in and went 15 for 101. That would have been almost all Woody Marks, but good to see Jawar Johnson out there going over 100 yards. Evan, what do you think of Marks' injury and Texans' win over the Cardinals?
Well, it sounds like Woody Marks is going to be all right.
Yep.
Jawar Jordan, these were the first carries of his NFL career. 5'10", 193, 4.56 40. Those are not good running back dimensions at all. However, and the YouTube commentators they're going to hate to hear this, but Jawar Jordan had 2 kickoff return touchdowns in college. So file that away. Jawar Jordan out of nowhere, balls out. Look at the return history.
Yeah, Woody Marks' projection will be affected by Nick Chubb's status and also by how healthy we think that Marks' ankle is. But yeah, Marks is the feature back. But if Chubb plays, he is a threat around the goal line and to take a little bit of change of pace stuff away. Texans are still in the mix for the number 2 seed. They have a lot to play for. I mean, they're most likely to be the 3 or the 7, but they still are in the mix for the 2 seed and certainly live to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, Texans have a very, very good team if the defense can continue to dominate. Colts. Grandpa, Phil Rivers, at 44 years old and directly off of his couch, at least to me, proved that quarterback play in today's NFL is just as much mental as physical. I mean, Rivers was far from great, right? 18 of 27, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he takes just 1 sack. He doesn't fumble. He has the Colts winning this game with 47 seconds left. They end up losing it. But yeah, I think, Phil Rivers showed if you can think at the quarterback position where everybody's trying to force everything underneath, maybe you don't need to have the biggest arm. Maybe you can be fat. I mean, Madden made Phil Rivers fat. And he still came out and almost beat the Seahawks in Seattle. So, Evan, what do you think of Rivers and anything else Colts related?
I saw the pictures of him, walking around before the game. And I was like, that's me. He just caught the ball and threw it every single time. He knows where everybody's going to be, right. But he got it out in 2.4 seconds on average. Amir Abdullah leads the Colts in receiving. On passes, so Phillip Rivers attempted 8 passes of 10-plus air yards, and he went 2 of 8 for 33 yards and an interception. But, hey, they went to Seattle, and they almost freaking won.
Should have won.
So, I mean, good for him, and he's going to keep starting. Shane Steichen's like, we didn't sign Phillip Rivers to put him on the bench, so he's starting, even though Anthony Richardson got cleared from his fractured orbital bone. But it doesn't sound like they have any intention of playing him.
No, they don't even know if he's going to practice. I mean, A-Rich has been medically cleared. He doesn't know if he's going to practice this week. They already announced, as Evan said, Phil Rivers will start Monday night in a really good spot, home against the 49ers. He'll have another week to learn his teammates' names and get to know them. Just such a crazy, impressive performance to try almost win that game. And it just makes it so, obviously, I'd rather have someone who can throw the ball, Stafford or Mahomes or Allen, who can do it all. They have these massive arms and they know where to go with the ball. But obviously, and this is what I was trying to make last week, I'd rather have Phil Rivers than someone with no clue where to go with the ball, where the protections are, where the blitz is coming from, where your hot route is, like Brosmer or something like that. Phil Rivers is a way better option, way better. So they can't win the Super Bowl with him. They probably can't win playoff games with him. But yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting. Raiders are just drawing so dead. I mean, Kenny Pickett starts here at Philadelphia. Obviously, that's an impossible spot, but they lose 31-0. I mean, even Bowers and Genti at this point feel dead. And I know Evan went on that rant maybe 2 months ago that the Raiders should trade everyone and just give up. It feels like they've done that without trading everyone. They're just giving up without trading everyone. So, Evan, any thoughts on Raiders getting blown out as expected in Philly?
Just Kenny Pickett is not the answer. I mean, we've seen it with – he's been on 5 teams at this point, and he's just not the answer. And things were going really badly with Geno Smith, and they just went worse with Kenny Pickett. So
64 passing yards in this game for Kenny Pickett.
I mean, 64 passing yards on 30 dropbacks.
It's going to be a really interesting projection for next year on Ashton Genti because his usage has been good. I mean, he's played almost all the snaps. He has been a huge part of their passing game. It's just there's nowhere to go. He's played 14 games this season, all of them. He's topped 75 rushing yards once. He's been under 50 rushing yards 9 times. And again, it's not an Ashton Genti issue, I don't think, but it's just a really hard projection when you have a talented guy who's getting a ton of work. And he is historically bad on efficiency right now. Chargers Chargers put the nail in the Chiefs' coffin. I mean, they were on track to probably win the game, maybe win the game, even before Mahomes' injury. And the Chargers did it with really good defense. They continue to shut down perimeter pass games. They're now 10-4, really likely to be a wild card team are the Chargers here this season. Evan, what do you think of their win in Arrowhead?
Huge win for them. I still worry that, their offense is like almost dead. They still can't protect Justin Herbert. He's taken 11 sacks over his last 2 games. He took 12 hits in this game on 33 dropbacks. And I think that they have to keep Kamani Vidal as a significant part of the offense because they love him in pass protection.
Yep.
And their offensive line can pass protect, so they need help from their running back.
Yep. And that's why Vidal outsnapped Hampton 42-24, but Hampton still was ahead in carries 15-12.
Hampton's going to be good, man.
Yeah.
He's going to be good. He's been impressive with the exception of maybe his first game and a half or so. He's been really impressive over the course of the year when he's been healthy, which hasn't been that much.
Quentin Johnston was inactive for this game. That allowed Trey Harris to get a bit of a role change. And we talked about this on Sunday morning, and I should have done it. It was just so late, but I was thinking about getting off Mitchell Tinsley for Trey Harris after the Quentin Johnston news. Trey Harris did get a role change, 27 routes on those 33 dropbacks, and Trey Harris made a couple nice plays. Keenan Allen's role did not really change. He's slot only. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind if Quentin Johnston is inactive here again going forward. Dolphins, this was the game last night, the Monday night game. They were just lifeless in Pittsburgh. When it is cold/bad weather, it feels like they just lock up. The Dolphins do so often. All of their yards, all of their points came in garbage time, including both of Darren Waller's touchdowns. On Tuesday, Mike McDaniel met with the media, and he was asked about the quarterback situation, if he considered making a move. He said, quarterback play was not good enough, so everything is on the table. I assume that means he's considering at least going to one of Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers. That is a complicated move to make because Tua Tagovailoa contract is massive and very, very difficult to get out from under. So, Evan, thoughts on that comment from McDaniel and anything from the game last night?
It's funny. Tua's numbers don't even look bad on the stat sheet, but they were not competitive. I mean, they got blown out. I think that the Steelers were up 21-3.
28-3, and then they scored 2 touchdowns late. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
do you want to see
the Bengals coming up? I know that, and Darren Waller balled out.
Well, listen, I think if they keep Tua in there, and we're recording this right after that quote came up. If they keep Tua in there, I think Tua will play well at home on Sunday in warm weather against the Bengals. Do you want to see Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers? That's a question for the Dolphins organization. I don't really want to see those guys. I do not think they'll be better than Tua. But yeah, Evan, do you have any desire to see Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers start games the rest of the season?
I think it'd be kind of interesting to see Quinn Ewers. I think we've seen enough of Zach Wilson. But I think that if you have Devon Achane, if you have Darren Waller, if you have Jalen Waddle, you want Tua to still be in there. Despite the fact that he's been very underwhelming the entire year. Yeah. He knows how to run the offense, and he can get the ball to those guys enough to be productive against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, nobody expected Tua to have a good game last night. We had him for 12 points or something, you're going to Pittsburgh. It's freezing cold, it's a night
Dolphins
game.
Never travel into the weather well.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing, Evan mentioned Achane. Achane, remember, got hurt in week 14 and didn't finish out the game. He came back here. Not only did he play, but he played into garbage time here. And Ollie Gordon left with an ankle injury. They had Jalen Wright. Didn't really seem to want to use him very much, Jalen Wright. So that was a good sign, good news for anyone with Achane. Waller ran 22 routes on 34 dropbacks. Greg Dulcich, just 12 routes on 34 dropbacks. And this red zone role for Waller, it hurts Jalen Waddle, but it's great for Waller. He's only played 7 games. He has 5 targets inside the 10-yard line in 7 games, and now he gets to play the Bengals. So going to be a very, very popular topic of conversation this week will be Darren Waller. Patriots. Just a brutal choke, just a brutal loss for the Patriots. Up 21-0. They have their foot on the throat of their rival in the AFC East, and they blow it in the second half. From a fantasy perspective, Travion Henderson, 14 carries, 148 yards, 2 long touchdowns. It's worth noting, though, Ramondre still outsnapped Travion 35-25. Ramondre ran 19 routes, Travion 8, but opportunities to touch the football, Henderson 18, Stevenson just 9. So that was a split in the backfield, Evan. Travion was a huge, huge part of this game. They still lost. What do you think of their game against the Bills?
I mean, this was just like the story of Josh Allen and James Cook taking over in the second half and exploiting, the New England run defense, which has crumbled, and didn't have Milton Williams and didn't have Robert Spillane, who's a stud middle linebacker, and they took over the game in the second half. I mean, it's just what you think it was. It was Patriots played really, really well, jumped out to a big lead. Josh Allen led the comeback, and that's the story of the game.
Do you think that Travion has done enough to take more from Ramondre going forward?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think they will, though? You know what I mean? It's like,
I don't know.
I mean, 18
lean no.
Right. 18 opportunities is fine. I get worried that in different kinds of games and scripts and flows, when you're not out there, when you're the second guy in snaps, you can kind of get phased out a little bit more on opportunities. Here it was fine, 18, but yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference between the consistency that you can have when you're getting 15 to 18 touches versus when you're getting 24 to 27 touches per game. The floor and the ceiling are obviously significantly lowered.
Yeah.
When you are in a timeshare, even if you're getting a good amount of work, but there's a big difference between those two numbers.
Tough spot for the Patriots coming up here this week at Baltimore. Last note. We talked a little bit last week about would there be a Stephon Diggs bump here? They come out of the bye, massive game, revenge game. Diggs only ran 16 routes on 28 Drake May dropbacks. That was fewer than Mac Hollins, fewer than Kayshon Boutte. So they did not show a desire to expand Steph Diggs' role for a big game here.
Do you think that if the Patriots had held on to this win, that Drake May right now would be the MVP favorite?
I think it'd be like close to a pick. And I still think no matter what Drake May did, if Stafford beats the Seahawks on Thursday, then it's his to lose.
It's crunch time. It's crunch time, fellas.
Jets. As expected, Jets get absolutely smoked in Jacksonville. They're not afraid to sling it with Brady Cook at least. He dropped back 41 times, did find A.D. Mitchell for a touchdown as that breakout continues. But yeah, Jets are now 3-11. On Monday, they decided to fire Steve Wilks. It's like, it's so close to the end. Like, just let the guy finish the season. It's not going to change anything. But yeah, Evan, any thoughts on Wilks firing or Jets' loss to the Jaguars?
No, I don't have any great thoughts about the Jets. They're playing their third string quarterback, and they're horrible season.
Breece Hall was banged up last week, missed some practice with a knee issue. I was actually worried he was going to sit given the situation. And again, the situation is Jets are beyond dead. Breece is going to be a free agent. I would hate for him to go out here for a dead Jets team and get hurt. But to his credit, he went out there and played. He didn't play that much, though. The garbage time work went to all Isaiah Davis, which, got to be careful about playing Breece Hall here down the stretch, because if I'm him, I'm preserving my body for free agency for sure. Steelers. Aaron Rodgers was sharp last night. Steelers beat the Dolphins, stay in the fight with the Ravens for the AFC North title. Rodgers 23 of 26. Now, it's not as impressive as somebody else's 23 of 26. He is getting the ball out so fast. I feel like he doesn't even give a chance for the routes to progress. He's just like, I caught the ball, I'm getting it out. That leads to 7 Kenny Gainwell catches, 3 Jalen Warren catches, a bunch of short stuff. Evan, what do you think of Steelers' easy win over the Dolphins last night?
I mean, Rodgers has played really well in back-to-back games.
Yeah.
And I know that he's going to get the ball out quickly. He did make a downfield throw in this game with DK Metcalf. He made a couple of them in the previous game. The Steelers are down to their third string. Actually, I think it's their fourth string left tackle, Dylan Cook. He went undrafted in 2022 out of Montana. But before that, he started his college career at NAIA, Montana State Northern Lights. He played quarterback and long snapper for the Montana State Northern Lights. Dylan Cook, the Steelers' starting left tackle right now, and he played really well in the game. Isn't that
It's
incredible?
incredible.
NAIA. That's between D2 and D3.
Yeah, my God.
That's almost D3. This guy was a quarterback. Now he's the starting left tackle for the Steelers, playing well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers played really well back-to-back games. The Steelers are in first place in the AFC North.
Yep. They play each other, not this week, but soon, Ravens and Steelers. The Kenny Gainwell stuff, like, I know we've talked about it. It's not going to go away. People want Jaylen Warren to take over here. Gainwell was up 34-30 in snaps. I know Jaylen Warren was sick for this game, but still, they cannot stop raving about Kenny Gainwell. The only problem is they have gone to Connor Hayward tush push, and so you lose goal line carries for the running backs here. Connor Hayward, similar to like what AJ Barner did a little bit there for the Seahawks, the tush push stuff.
Also, the Jets just cut Alan Lazard.
Yes.
So, and Aaron Rodgers big on creating jobs. He may get Alan Lazard a contract with the Steelers.
Added to the jobs report. Last team today, Tennessee Titans. Honestly, I'm not sure what's gotten into Tony Pollard, but he is just smashing the last 2 weeks. Smashed the Browns, and then here he goes to San Francisco, goes for 104 rushing yards and a touchdown. Offense performed reasonably here for the Titans. Evan, what do you think of their game against the Niners?
Yeah, Cam Ward had the best passer rating of his season, 101.2 against San Francisco. San Francisco is extremely depleted defensively, but it's good to just see any life out of the Titans offense. Tony Pollard, who would have thought, the guy you need in the fantasy playoffs. To keep it in context, and I do think it's important that we acknowledge that results are still more important than context. Like when people start to be like, oh, but Drake May hasn't played anybody all year. Yeah, but I mean, he's done it for 12 games and like he's been crushing every single game. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad teams in the NFL, bad defense in the NFL, whatever. When you crush them, that still counts. When you start to place the context, you're emphasizing the context over the results. Like the results are still more important. Anyways, Tony Pollard it was really two big runs against the Browns, who they had Myles Garrett lining up in the wide nine so far outside of the tackle to try to get sacks.
Yeah.
So it was like a 65 and a 32-yarder in the previous week, and then this week it was against the 49ers. But it is good to see Tony Pollard playing well, because I think there were a lot of people who just thought that he was totally washed and that he wasn't even capable of doing this, but obviously he is because he's done it.
Last note for me on the Titans. Gunnar Helm only ran 10 routes, but caught 4 passes for 49 yards and a touchdown. He's up at 1.62 yards per route run, which isn't like a smash, but for a rookie tight end playing for the Titans,
sharing time, right?
I mean, yeah, that means something to me. He is way ahead in passer rating when thrown at, way ahead of Chig, DK, Io Minor. So Gunnar Helm is on my list for things to watch this summer, for sure.
Me too.
For sure. All right. That is going to do it for another edition of the Team by Team show. If you have in-season product at ETR, first round of projections for fantasy semifinal week will be up Wednesday night. Also, Wednesday around 2 p.m. Eastern, myself and Herzig are jumping on YouTube. We're going to do a live stream. We're just going to rip a bunch of playoff best ball drafts, talk our way through it. If you're interested in that, the replay will be up if you want to catch it live, 2 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube. Be sure you're subscribed there. It is totally free. For Evan, producer Ryan, producer Luke, for everyone behind the scenes at ETR, I'm Adam. Good luck, everybody.